Welcome. My name is Caitlin McConnell. So I know it says Carrie Lee on there, but it's actually Caitlin. And I'm the mentoring coordinator and business analyst here at Women's Enterprise Center. So I help organize and implement the mentoring programs and help women entrepreneurs throughout BC. I work out of the Victoria office. So I just want to thank you all for joining us today. So I'll just do a quick review of today's agenda. So I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about Women's Enterprise Center and the services we provide, and then I'll introduce our great panelists, and then they'll get started with the session on business scale-up and productivity program information session. All right, so Women's Enterprise Center is a nonprofit organization devoted to helping BC women launch, lead, and scale their own businesses. Our full range of services includes business loans of up to $150,000. It can actually have access to an additional $100,000 through the new partnership that we have with BDC. Women's Enterprise Center has fueled the success of women-led businesses since 1995, providing business advice, skills training, mentoring, practical resources, and a supportive community to help women business owners gain the skills, mindset, financing, and network that they need to realize their business potential. We are funded by the federal government through Western Economic Diversification Canada, and this is part of the Women Enterprise Initiative, which includes similar organizations in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. If you want to stay informed on what's happening in your area, if you are located in BC, to learn more about our services, you can go to women'senterprisecenter.ca and sign up for our e-news and e-blasts. You will also be able to find a wealth of information and resources that can help you with your business, no matter what stage you're at. So today, as I said, our topic is business scale up and productivity program information sessions. And to answer your questions and to present this program, we have Tess Menges. She's the Senior Business Officer at West Economic Diversification Canada, and she's also joined by her colleague, Karina. Together, they're going to tell you all about this great program. So I'll just welcome the ladies and then I'll pass it over to them.
Thanks, Caitlin. Thanks for joining us today. So we're going to talk about the new business scale up and productivity program. This program was launched, I guess the application site opened on December 3rd. So we're going to give you some information about the program, the background on it, and how to apply if you're interested. Just want to make sure, Caitlin, I can control the slides.
Yeah, you should. It's just it's a small thing on the side. You'll see. You put your cursor over there. You should be able to.
Not see. Oh, is it? Sorry, everyone.
There we go. There you go.
Perfect. So today we're going to give just an overview of the Government of Canada Innovation Program. There's been some changes and reasons why this program was created. We'll talk a little bit about the development agencies, what Western Economic Diversification's role is, and then we'll get into the details of the program, who's eligible to apply, how we're going to review your application and what we would consider a strong application. And at the end, you'll get our contact information. We encourage you to follow up with us for any questions that you may have that weren't addressed in this session. You can also type your questions as we go through. I'm going to wait till the end to address all the questions that are asked during the webinar, but we will get to them at the very end. So the federal government has 4 flagship platforms, and those would be the Trade Commissioner Service, IRAP, or Industrial Research Assistance Program, the Strategic Innovation Fund, and then the Regional Development Agencies. Western Economic Diversification fits within the Regional Development Agencies, and the government as a whole looked at some of the programming offered throughout the country from those regional development agencies and took 22 programs and decided to streamline it into 2 programs. Our goal at Western Economic Diversification, or our focus, is we are a Western-based federal department that aims to promote the development and diversification of the economy in Western Canada. So the program we're going to talk about today is geared at businesses that want to scale up, increase productivity, or commercialize a technology. Sorry, just one sec. Okay, so the Business Scale Up Productivity Program is part of an overarching national program, which is called Regional Economic Growth Through Innovation. The main thing to note about this is when you go to the website for Western Economic Diversification, you'll now see kind of a header for this Regional Economic Growth Through Innovation program. If you click on that, you will get to the Business Scale Up and Productivity Program. There's two streams within the Regional Economic Growth Through Innovation, or the REGI program. One is for-profit businesses and one is for non-profit businesses. So in order to get to the business scale up, you want to be looking for that, that stream within it. And the Business Scale Up Productivity Program offers a repayable interest-free funding to businesses that are either looking to grow, to accelerate their growth, to scale up, to improve productivity, or to increase competitiveness in both domestic and global markets. So there's various kind of streams that you can look at applying into the Business Scale Up program. I'm going to refer to it as BSP going forward. That's our acronym, and in government we do like acronyms. So the BSP provides assistance for up to 50% of eligible project costs. We are looking for a minimum ask, or a minimum project size would be 400,000. Therefore, your minimum ask from us would be for 200,000, and the maximum project size is $5 million. So you can go up to 5 million per project. If anyone is familiar with the WIN program, which is a program that is managed by Western Economic Diversification but is currently closed. This program is similar to that, but it is for higher project values than what the WIN was offering. In terms of maximum, because we intend to have more than one call for this program, maximum to any one organization would be $10 million. And we're looking for projects that are a duration of 3 years. And in terms of repayment, the way it works is you have your project completion after 3 years. We give you 1 year grace period, and then we do a 5-year interest-free repayment schedule. So kind of 60 equal monthly payments based on how much the original loan was for. In order to be eligible to apply for this program, you must be a for-profit company incorporated in Canada. So we are looking for companies to provide their incorporated certification when you apply to us. You do have to have been in operation for 2 years, again, within Canada. And since we are Western Economic Diversification, we are looking for you to have facilities located in Western Canada. As I mentioned at the beginning, we have kind of streamlined our programming across the country. So there are other regional development agencies. If anyone's joining the webinar from, a province or territory outside of Western Canada, there are programs that fall under the business scale up for those regional development agencies as well. But if you are applying to us, you do need to have a facility located in Western Canada. And we have a little caveat. I'm assuming most everyone on the call is a small or medium company, but we may give preference to small and medium companies, although large companies are eligible and welcome to apply. So I mentioned a little bit about the WIN program before, and that was a program that has now closed. We're still administering some of the projects under it. But these are just to highlight a few similarities, differences between the two programs. So one of the big ones is that you do have to have been in operation for 2 years now, as opposed to 1 year. And our project size now comes with a minimum of a $200,000 ask. So there is that requirement. We've expanded the eligible activities. So before, with the WIN program, we were really looking for companies who were in the commercialization space, looking to bring something into the market. That is still a focus of the Business Scale Up Productivity Program. That's one of the streams, technology commercialization. However, we have expanded it, and we're looking for projects that would be productivity improvement and business scale up as well. And we're going to get into definitions of those. We have some priority areas within the program. So in order to apply, you must have a focus in either clean tech, clean resources, life science, value-added agriculture, advanced manufacturing, or digital technology. So you need to demonstrate how you fit into one of these. And if you want a better kind of definition of what they are, there's the economic strategies table link within this slide. So you can click on that and get a better sense of which area you would fit into. You do need to pick one of these areas as part of your application. The slides are available on the Western Economic Diversification website when you go to the Business Scale Up program portion. So you can download the slides after to get the link to the economic strategy table. And as well as Caitlin said, this webinar will be recorded, so you have access to see this again if you want. The eligible activities, as I mentioned before, we have kind of three categories. So productivity improvement. This would include acquiring, adopting new technology processes, improving manufacturing capability, productivity improvement, process reengineering. So we are looking for companies that are trying to kind of bring in a new technology into their existing business. Another stream is the business scale up. So if you are looking to grow your business, enter new markets, adopt new management practices, processes, systems, anything like that. Business scale up is another stream. And then the last one is technology commercialization. So we are looking for companies, as it says, that are TRL, which is technology readiness level, 7 to 9. 7 being that you have something that we can demonstrate in an operational setting as opposed to a controlled lab setting. So that's kind of the cutoff for 7. That would be the minimum requirement. With technology commercialization, we will ask you to fill in some additional information that will be evaluated on just the stage of where your technology is at. But again, you pick which one you want, which stream you want to go through. You can't pick more than one, essentially. So your project needs to relate to either productivity improvement, business scale up, or technology commercialization. I think it looks fine on my screen. Okay. So some of the eligible costs are capital costs, labor costs. So we will pay, you can use the loan for wages, for benefits, marketing, costs related to intellectual property if you're going in the technology commercialization stream, technology development, commercial demonstrations, professional advisory, technical services. Those are all eligible costs. We will only pay for costs once the project has started, so you can't kind of backdate your costs, and we're going to get into the project start date as well. And just to note, another thing is some things that are not eligible. Because the program is now focused on TRL, technology readiness levels 7 to 9, we would not be looking to cover costs for R&D, research and development, We do not cover land or building costs, salaries, dividends, entertainment expenses. So if you're, hosting a dinner in another country, we may pay for the travel to go there, but we would not pay for the dinner expenses of that. We won't refinance existing debt, amortization or depreciation of assets, lobbying activities, donations, membership fees. So you just want to be aware when you're coming up with your budget for your proposal, what costs we will cover and which ones are ineligible, so that you can apply the right costs to your project. And costs incurred prior to April 1st, 2019 are all ineligible. So we are looking to fund projects that are starting after that April 1st, which is the government fiscal year. The reason behind this program, or what we're looking to see come out of this program, is really to grow the economy in the West. And so we're looking for you to demonstrate that through this project, you will have HQP, which is highly qualified personnel jobs, created in Canada. We also want to see the number of non-HQP jobs created. So we are looking for job creation. We're also looking for company revenue growth, your export sales, if you are going under kind of the scale up side of the program. If you're going under the technology commercialization, we would want to see business sales growth resulting from the actual commercialization of your technology once that has happened. So these are outcomes and results that you would have to report on, and we are looking for you to give us kind of justification and how you came up with these numbers of jobs that would be created, revenue growth. We may even in your financial statements want to see that you've had consistent revenue growth for the last few years when you are applying to this program. So if you are approved into the Business Scale Up Productivity Program, we basically reimburse you based on claims. So we will reimburse you based on the approved portion. We can approve up to 50%. So not all projects, you may not ask for 50%. Some people have less of an ask, but we can do up to 50% of the project costs. You do have to incur them before we will reimburse you, and you can submit a claim up to 4 times a year. Some people do just twice a year in terms of submitting your claims, and then we basically will pay out the money for those. After the project is wrapped up, as I mentioned at the beginning, you get a 1-year grace period, so you kind of get to enjoy the scale up or productivity aspect of it. And then we will just break it down into equal monthly payments over 5 years. So we do not charge interest on that, and there's no penalty if you want to repay early. If you do miss a payment or are late on payments, then we will look at charging interest for that. But as long as you make your regular monthly payments, there will be no interest charged. So the application process is currently open. It is a competitive process, and we're calling it a call for proposal. So we are looking for the strongest applications. Not everyone that applies is going to get through. So we do want to see a very strong application. Part of how you can give us a strong application is we really encourage you to review the applicant guide, which is on our website. Use it as you're preparing your proposal to us. It can really help you in understanding what we're looking for, which streams to go in. As I mentioned, the economic table defines those streams. And our applications are only accepted during the intake period, which is now. It opened on December 3rd, and it will close January 11th, 2019. It will close at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you're in Pacific region, that's 1 p.m. But we do encourage you to get it in early as opposed to waiting until the last minute, as sometimes the system gets overwhelmed and you can have issues with that. So just to avoid the stress of that, try to get it in early. And it's only one application per organization in a given intake. So you can only apply once in an intake. Just some mandatory things. We will be looking that your application form is completed. If you're missing something, we won't be calling you up after it's closed. That will just be deemed as an incomplete application. And at the time that you apply, you do need to have your other 50% of your funding confirmed, and we need to see that confirmation. We're also looking for a detailed business plan, and the elements of what we want you to include in your business plan, you will see those in section 10 of the applicant guide. So again, referring back to that guide, which is downloadable on our website. You can print off a copy or keep a copy, however you like, but definitely read the whole guide to get a good sense of what we're looking for. We need to see 2 years of financial statements, as well as forecasted income statements and cash flows for the duration of the project. So we do have that little caveat: incomplete applications will not be assessed or considered for funding. So make sure that you are uploading all of those documents that are required. I believe you can upload a document up to 10 megabytes per upload. I don't know that there's a cap on how many different documents you can give us. And we're also looking for, just gonna go back for a second. So we're also looking for you to show that you have been in business for 2 years. So the certificate of incorporation is always a good thing to include with that. Upload it. We just need, the kind of front page saying when your company was incorporated. We don't have a specific upload section for that, so you can include it with your business plan if you like. In terms of what we're looking for as evidence of confirmed funding, some people will show us their bank statements so that we can see that they have either an unused line of credit or an existing cash balance. You can take a screenshot and upload that. We do need to see that it is your bank statement as opposed to just kind of highlighting the numbers on it, so we can verify that it is your company that has those funds. We'll also take third-party sources, so official letters of confirmed or conditional funding. So if you have conditional funding, if someone says we will give you, $2 million, should you get approved for the business scale-up productivity program for $2 million, that's a conditional funding letter that we would accept. Funding agreements or signed term sheets. Anything that would be not acceptable as confirmed funding is forecasted revenues from future activities, accounts receivable, commitments to raise equity, and SR&ED tax credits, so the scientific research experimental development tax credits that you can get. Our preference is that you kind of just eliminate that from the whole proposal, because we will, if you're getting $1 back from SR&ED, we will give you $1 less because it's considered government funding. So it's easier if you just kind of take it out of the process. So Katrina and I are some of the people that will be doing the assessments, and what we're looking for is that you're meeting the mandatory criteria, which we just went over. But it is a competitive process. So what we're really evaluating you on is if you have market potential. What does your management team look like? So describe their backgrounds, their past experience, who's on your management team. That will, give us the assurance that you are able to do this. Have they exited? Have they scaled up a company before? What is their experience? Financial capacity. So we do want to see, we're evaluating the risk when we look through proposals. As this is a loan program, we try to get all of our money paid back. So we want to see that you have the financial capacity for 1, to complete the project, and 2, to kind of pay us back and be successful overall. I mentioned the economic benefits. So we are looking for job creation, revenue growth, things like that. So you need to highlight those in your proposal. And if you're going with the technology commercialization project, then you need to demonstrate your technology readiness is either at 7, 8, or 9. And it will be the strongest applicants that will move forward into a detailed assessment. So, we realize this is maybe not the best timing for a call, seeing as it's over a holiday season, but do take the time to really think about your proposal and be kind of in the top of what you're submitting to us. So everyone will be contacted as to whether or not they're selected to move forward to a detailed assessment. If we do undergo a detailed assessment, we may require some additional information from you. We may get you to reconfirm your project funding, your project cost, your budget, things like that. That will all be addressed in an email from us. But the main thing is that we are really looking for great projects, unique things that are going to be successful and benefit the Western economy. So just always keep in mind when you're preparing your proposal that this is a competitive process and you are being, assessed against our other applicants. If you go into the technology commercialization stream, if that's the one you're going with, there will be a technical assessment that will be conducted by our colleagues with the National Research Council. Their program's called IRAP, the Industrial Research Assistance Program, and they will be assessing the technology commercialization aspects of your application. There is an additional form you need to fill out if you go with the technology commercialization project, and that is what we will be sending to the team at IRAP for a detailed assessment. They're in that space. They kind of work with companies prior to the 7 to 9, and they understand the commercialization project. So that's why they're going to be doing that review. And we may also rely on some colleagues at Sustainable Development Technologies Canada or the Clean Growth Hub to consult with clean technology and clean resource projects as well, just so that we're getting the best people to assess the projects as they come in. We are looking for a very strong, well-written business plan. So we have a number of kind of key points that we're looking for in the application guide for you to include in your business plan. So do spend some time, you may need to update your business plan or something like that, but we are looking at to be comprehensive and very well written. We want you to define the market size, the opportunity. So what is the opportunity for growth? What is the market you may be entering into? How big is it? Who are your competitors? We also want detailed description of both the applicant organization and the project management team. So who is going to be actually working on this project? We want to know the people in your company. And we do want credible financial statements and reasonable financial projections for this project. So that's kind of what we're looking for in terms of a stronger application. You have to, as I mentioned before, you have to fit into, at least one of the priority areas that we have. And when you are coming up with, the jobs or the economic benefits, the revenues, all of that, we want to see how you got those numbers. We don't just want them kind of thrown out there as, oh, I can create 50 jobs. Like, how did you come across that number, and what is the rationale behind it? So, if it's 3 jobs being created, how are you going to achieve that, and where did that number come from? Don't just be pulling them out of a hat, because we are going to hold you accountable for those numbers. So they should be reasonable, and they should come with some justification. If applicable for the technology commercialization, we want to see a well-defined IP strategy. And if you're going with the other streams, the scale up or the productivity, basically be clear on how the productivity or efficiency savings will enable the company to grow and expand. So those are kind of the differences between if you're going technology commercialization and if you're going productivity or scale up. So the application is open for, I believe, slightly under 6 weeks, but just about 6 weeks. So that's how long you have to fill your application. You can save as you go. There's some kind of tombstone information you'll need to fill out in order to save your application, but you don't need to complete it in one shot. You can keep making edits and uploading different documents as you work on it. We will start our assessments in January, and we're anticipating to have some decisions made by spring of 2019. Again, the earliest a project can start is April 1st, 2019. And our timelines can vary depending on the number of applications we get. Just some other funding considerations. We want to make sure that you may want to consult your accountant or CRA just to determine how the implications of receiving business scale-up productivity funding will affect your taxable income as well as your SR&ED tax credits if you are claiming those. The money you receive from this program is actually taxable income, so we just want to make sure that you are aware of that. So that we're going to take some questions now, but this is our contact information, and so you can give us a call, or our email is down there. We have our general Western Economic Diversification email. We also have the BC one. Katrina and myself are located in BC, so feel free to email either one depending on where you're located, and we'll get you the most appropriate regional help, because this is a Western program. So we have offices in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba as well. So I'm just going to start going through the questions here. For some reason, it's not letting me go. Okay. So if I miss your question, then just let me know and we'll.
There was one question at the top asking about whether collateral is required. WD doesn't take collateral or an equity position in any BSP projects.
Okay, and the next one, we were in business before we were incorporated. Do you have a specification for how the existence would be proved? So we are looking that you would be incorporated for 2 years. So that's what you would have to prove to us. If it was an example, I guess would be a name change. You can show that through a trail of some paperwork. If you weren't incorporated, though, we do need to see that you were incorporated for 2 years. So that's primarily what we're looking for. So if you were just in business and then became incorporated, you would still have to meet that 2-year eligibility requirement. Okay. The presentation is being recorded, and it will be available. It will be emailed out, I believe, to all the participants, as well as hosted on the Women's Enterprise Center website, so you can come back and review it as you go.
One question, would eligible costs include software we use to operate our business? So BSP projects are incremental to your everyday operations, so we wouldn't cover your day-to-day operational costs. But if the software is directly related to the incremental project, then that would be an eligible cost.
We have the repayment amounts tax deductible? That would be a question you would want to refer to your accountant or the CRA for that. Are consortia applications acceptable provided every member of the consortium meeting and meet the program requirements?
No, we need to have one single applicant, and it has to be a company.
How often do you think you'll be opening the calls? So our current call is open for 6 weeks. This is an ongoing program, but unfortunately we don't have a date for when we're going to open the next call. With the WIN program, however, we did tend to have a call every year, so that could be a guideline for when we may be opening one, but we don't have a date. What is definition of a scale up? So for any of our definitions, you're going to want to look kind of into the applicant guide and get a better sense of what a scale up project is, or a productivity project, or a technology commercialization project. Question about funding requirements. If we claim on a 400K project with the ask for 200K, do we have to show confirmed funding for 400K or 200K?
You have to show confirmed funding for 200K, but we'll also be doing a financial assessment based on the financial statements and projections that you provide. So we'll have to see that your company has the viability to not only successfully complete the project, but to stay operational and to repay the project.
There's one, I'm not sure, you may want to type a bit of a longer question. It says revenue track record requirements. So in terms of your financial statements, we're looking for the last kind of 2 years plus some interim statements, but I'm not sure if that's where you were going with that question. Will we need customer letters stating they would purchase this new technology from us if we were to develop it?
That would be helpful. If you have purchase orders lined up, that would be helpful too.
Just in general, for any tax questions, in terms of how this impacts your taxes or your shred claims or anything like that, it's best to either talk to your accountant or go talk with Canada Revenue Agency to discuss those implications of it. So there's a question, if we have 400K in funding, why would we apply for this loan? So we're looking, this loan is about project size, so it would be, essentially you would be looking at an $800,000 project, and if you have the 400K in funding, you would still need the additional 50% to come from somewhere else. So that's where you may look to this loan to match that funding that you already have. If we are a management consulting company, on behalf of the company we want to scale up. Again, that may need to be rephrased. I'm going to make an assumption that you're asking if the management consultant company can apply on behalf of the company you want to scale up. That would be a no. The company itself needs to apply. So you can work with them however that works, but it has to be an application from the actual company. Is the 2-year requirement based on 2 years at the date of application or 2 years at the start of project? Is that the 2-year requirement for being in business would be from we would look at it from, I believe, January 11th, not the start of the project. Is it possible to combine 2 to 3 streams into one application? We know that, with scale up, productivity, commercialization, there is overlap in those, but you do need to kind of pick one stream and go with that. We understand that there will be overlap, but just go with the
best fit.
Yeah, the best fit for that. Is export required as part of the assessment for the scale-up stream? You don't need to export. We're looking for, the job creation and the revenue growth. And if you're in Western Canada and looking to grow to Eastern Canada, that is scale up as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be exporting into another country. Does the 1-year grace repayment period start after the last expense reimbursement or after the project completion, or 1 year after each submission? And what if the project development are delayed?
So the 1-year grace repayment period, it begins after the project completion date. So it's possible that the last expense reimbursement might be a few months before the project completion date. And let's see, what if projects develop? What if project is delayed? The project will need to see that it's complete within 3 years. It's possible that some people might submit an application or a project application that's for 1 year or 2 year in duration. If there's delays, it's possible that we may be able to extend the project completion date, but we cannot go beyond three years.
We have another question. Do you have to be revenue generating? So we know with technology commercialization, you may not be generating revenue at this point, but if you're on the scale up productivity side, we would be looking that you have revenues. Is the minimum cost for a project $400K?
Well, the minimum that you can ask us for is $200K. So that would, in order to be reimbursed for $200K of project costs, you would have to incur $400K. So that would, that would be the minimum total project cost that we're looking for.
There's another question about account receivable is not accepted as funding commitment, so POs won't help. So the funding commitment, we have to show signed term sheets or letters of conditional funding. Yeah, we do need to have signed sheets, purchase orders, invoices for things that you're going to send out, things like that would not be acceptable for this. We do want to see that you have the confirmed funding in the bank when you're applying to this program. It was mentioned that it was SME, small and medium enterprise preferred, but how likely would it be for a large company to be awarded funding if the application was strong enough? So it just says that small and medium enterprises may be given preference, but we are looking for strong proposals. So that's as much as we can guide you on that, but we're looking for the best overall proposals. When using own company's funds as matching, how does it get earmarked? Do we need to create a separate legal entity to support the project? No, we wouldn't want you to create a separate legal entity. We just want to see that the company has the matching funds in the bank at the time of application and you are able to support that project. Do you evaluate only direct jobs or ecosystem jobs creation? We are a school.
We evaluate direct jobs as a result of the project.
So I feel like we may have missed some questions in there. So if you do...
There was some questions I saw about whether provincial funding is considered matching funding. It's not. So the only government funding, basically government funding cannot exceed 50%. So if you're coming at us asking for 50%, we can't see any level of government support as the matching 50%.
So I'm gonna just go over a little bit about the login and application, but if we did miss your question, feel free to type it again. We had a lot of questions coming in. In terms of applying, you do need to get a GC key, and you can create a GC key online. You may already have a GC key. You may want to create a new one anyway, just for this application. Sometimes a GC key can be tied to your tax account or personal bank account or something like that. So if you want to create an individual one for this application, we encourage you to do that. And then you can share the GC key and the password with whoever in your organization is working on this application form, so that you can all be accessing it at various times and working through your proposal. The applicant guide gives you detailed instructions as to how to log in and create that GC key. And then, as I mentioned, in order to save your application, when you first start, there will be some tombstone data that you'll need to enter, and that information is detailed in the applicant guide as well. So if you're getting an error message or you're not able to save your application, it's likely that you haven't entered enough of the tombstone data for us to be able to save your application. And from there you can go on. There are word limits, so you do have to be within those word limits in terms of creating the application. And we recommend that you save continuously as you go through, and save a copy before you submit it to us as well, so that you have a complete copy of your application that you can reference should you need to. I'm just going to go back to the questions now. All other government funding confirmed will reduce the amount granted from BSP, so that the total funding equals 50%.
I think what they're saying is, say they have, say some part of their funding is coming from the provincial government, then they would have to reduce their ask to WD for BSP funding. So let's say they have 20% from the province, they could only ask us for 30% of the total project costs, I think. So that would be true. If you did want to include other sources of government funding in your application, can, but you would have to reduce the ask from WD so that the government portion is only no more than 50% of total project costs.
And there's another question about, is it correct that the proponent has to spend 100% of the funds prior to repayment, or will repayment be made monthly as expenses are incurred?
So you'll be able to, if your application is successful and you're approved, you'll be able to submit claims on a quarterly basis for costs incurred and paid.
We do have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I don't know if you guys can see the chat, but there's a couple questions in here. So it says I can ask it.
I think we can see. So
Yeah.
Are rental costs for office space to support a planned expansion included under the category of eligible costs? Yeah, so we are looking at incremental costs. So if you need to, rent a bigger office, that is something that you could include as part of the claim. It's more the purchase of land or buildings that would be ineligible. And the slides are available for download. If you go to the Western Economic Diversification website and you click under REGI, which is the Regional Ecosystem Growth Through Innovation headline, you get to the BSP, the Business Scale Up Productivity Program, and then there's the applicant guide, the downloadable slides. But as well, we will be sending out an email after this, or Women's Enterprise Center will be sending out an email. We'll highlight the links to the slides and include them in that email for you. And we have another question here. My company is planning to expand our services and operations into 2 territories, the Lower Mainland and Interior BC. Would that be defined as one project or 2 separate projects? So it's up to you to define the projects, but you can only apply for one project per company. So if you're looking at it as a whole and you're expanding your operations and you're looking to scale up, then that could be considered one project. Okay. Caitlin, did we get all the questions from the chat?
I think there was one saying is cannabis of considered projects that can be considered.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Okay,
but
and
I think will you include your contact information?
Yeah, I'll send you my contact information, and then we can email it out to everyone.
Okay.
So you will have our contact information. You have our email, the general one, and the phone number. So if you think of any other questions as you're going through your application, we encourage you to reach out to us and get clarification. Ask the questions as you go through or as they come up. Yeah, we hope this was a good information session for you, and we look forward to possibly reviewing your projects and seeing what we're going to proceed with.
Yes. Thank you so much, Tess and Katrina, for taking the time to tell everybody about this program. And like we said, we'll send out a follow-up email to everybody that will include the recording and the contact information for WD. So if there's any additional questions.
And thanks, Women's Enterprise Center, for organizing this, and thank you all for spending the morning with us and learning about the Business Scale Up Productivity Program.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.